And we are live. Checking my mic levels. Needs to come up a little bit. Mic levels look good. Thanks everybody for dropping by. We'll start with talking about a little bit of Splinterlands news. There's been lots of things going on this week, especially starting with the town square announcements. Not so much announcements as things that slipped out and should have been bigger announcements, but turned into maybe weren't even supposed to go out. So, hey, Supreme Victory Network and Gathering the Magic, thanks for dropping by. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending upon where you may be in the world. Just thought we'd discuss a little Splinterlands news and branch off into whatever anyone wanted to talk about, gaming related. I think it started off this week with the town square, which a few interesting nuggets of information seemed to slip out. But as the week wore on, they turned into maybe not a whole lot of issues. So one of the big things that came out of town square was that they leaked or kind of mentioned that Roonies may not be available for, when Land 1.5 goes live, which obviously was huge news for those people who sunk money into Roonies. I don't have any Roonies, so it didn't affect me, but I can see where if you put a bunch of money into Roonies and were making your land plan around those and those percentages, why you would be upset. Hey, Wibble, back at you. So, but as the other big item that really hit me from the town square was the mention that possibly you would not be able to buy the time, or I keep saying buy, you wouldn't be able to burn for time crystals at the very beginning as well, which I had made a lot of plans around. So, but as the week wore on, and actually as soon as the town square went off, Nate was on Discord and kind of refuting those facts in the fact that he basically said that he thinks that, obviously, a lot of these things go through him as he's on the team, but he thinks that the Rooney made the cut, got submitted, whatever they needed to submit for 1.5, and he thinks that as the week wore along, he also said that you would be able to burn DEC for the time crystals when 1.5 hit. Obviously, that goes through the local castle. So we'll see. I chose to, as soon as I saw those comments coming out from Nate, I chose to step back and not make a whole lot of statements about it until we see actually where it's at. So Gathering says, anyone seeing differences in playing in Modern now? I still play in Wild and seems about the same earnings-wise. I'm saving my time crystals for when we can build all the buildings. I'm going to save them for the special rare resources. I've heard you. First of all, your first statement. I switched my bot over into Wild. And the reason I have this particular page up is I think a lot of us have been looking at this page as far as amount of battles. And there's a huge difference. Check out. Now, what we're looking at is the blue bar here. Look where the blue bar is as far as how many active modern battles there are. And the purple bar is the wild battles, which have shot up. And interestingly enough, and I don't know why this is, but a few days ago, the bars were much higher and they seem to be trickling down. So the disparity a few days ago, whenever I was taking a look at this was huge. Now it's still huge, but back to your question, I put both my bots, my Archmage bots, in Wild. I've been talking to my brother. He maintained and he's been playing in Modern. And I believe we did a comparison this week, Modern Gold, and he's roughly making double what I am in Wild Gold. So obviously, there's a lot of variables there, win streak and such. But overall, I think that he's making at least double what I'm making, and he's manually playing in Modern. So those are the only real numbers I have to go by. And obviously, I've been listening to a few other people talk about it. So obviously, there is an increase, but it's also you're playing against other human players, which was the whole goal, right? But it's also harder. It's harder to get a win. So I still maintain that it was easier to battle bots and beat a bot than it is to beat a human. But with that said, bots have gotten a lot smarter over the last couple years, and they're getting harder and harder to beat. So there's that. I think that it's harder to win in Modern, but you're going to get at least double as you would in Wild. That's my takeaway from the numbers I've seen so far. Now, as far as the time crystals go, yeah, I mean, that remains to be seen. Your theory on saving them, that's fine. I want to get everything up and running, because as far as the amount of money, and a lot of people have been talking about this lately as well, the amount of money I've spent on land and everything, I got to get everything up and producing. And as far as what they have in 2.0, 2.0 could be another year and a half away. I don't know. I'm trying to look on the positive side, and I need to get these things up and running. And a lot of times in this, in the Web3 type gaming, I will just throw this at you. The people that make the money are the people that get started first and get in and start making money first. And then it trickles down. So think about that. I'm not saying your plan is wrong. My plan may be wrong. Who knows? Time will tell. But I'm just saying that I want to get everything up and running quickly and get it going. So Supreme Victory Network says rewards in Modern are slightly higher and the fun level is dramatically higher. Now, I will note that. I agree. And I haven't been playing against... I have not been playing my account other than my guild brawls. And just from my brother's statement, he did say it is a lot more fun to play players, because there's a lot of differences, right? Players... some players aren't methodical. Some players are just by the seat of their pants. Some players are very good, have a lot of experience in card games, and use very high-powered decks. And obviously, you're not going to, a lot of times you're not going to beat those players. But versus a bot who is, and we've talked about this before, how bots tend to lean into the same cards over and over and over again, because they're replicating on the database and they're going by numbers. So as the bot plays that hand more often, it gets in the database higher and higher. So it increases the rate of you seeing that hand. So a lot of players who played in Modern against bots are probably used to seeing the same types of cards over and over and over again. And when you play a human, you have a high percentage chance of not seeing that. You have a high percentage chance of a human pulling out some of their favorite cards, because we all do. We all have our favorite cards, our favorite card combinations, and well, maybe this isn't the best thing to pick, but I love playing it. So, that kind of thing. So I agree. It probably... I do like the idea, even though I don't sit and play my games on a daily basis, I do like the idea of having the option to be able to say, hey, you know what? I want to go ahead and next season, I'm just going to play all my games. And I'm going to switch over and do it in Modern for a while, and I don't have to worry about playing the bots, and I have a higher percentage of earning more when I do win. Okay, so I like that option, and I agree. From the get-go, when I first started in the game, I didn't think there should be bots, but they continually made that decision to go down that road, so that's why I went into, using the Archmage bot. Anyway, Wibble throws in, yep, getting kitty to death now in Modern, pretty pesky putty tat. Yes. However, it won't be too long before Kitty moves out of Modern. I will mention that. So we may look forward to that. And you may, there are some people who have done various strategy videos. You know, I'm not the guy, I'm not the greatest strategist. When I do find cool stuff, I will pass it along. But I'm not the best strategist. There's some other people out there that make great strategy videos. But you may be looking at, there was somebody else, and I forget who did this rather recently. They put a video out, and they were focusing on the new, let's take a look for a minute. The newer summoners, and let's look at just particular Chaos Legion and Rift Watchers summoners, and basically comparing the epic and the legendaries to like Kitty and the like within the previous set, right? And kind of matching up powers, because when we move into a situation where Kitty and them move out of Modern, this is going to be your set, okay? So now is the time to be prepared. So obviously card prices are going up. We've seen that due to land. I've been talking about it a bunch because I've been preparing for land, right? But the side effect is if you're trying to get cards now, the prices are going up and it's getting steeper to go ahead and make your collection. However, I would hazard a guess to say that now would be the time to prepare for what you want your deck to look like when that changeover happens. Okay, so and Gathering said, I gotta catch up here. I've been talking too much. What will the price to buy time crystals be? I wonder. The crystals are let me see. It's on. It's 100 DEC per 1,000. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so you have to burn 100 DEC or DECB. And that will count for 10,000 K points. Okay, so 100 DEC or DECB will get you a time crystal, which will cut off 10,000 K points. Okay, that's going to be the price, and you should be able to buy those at any time from your local castle. I keep saying buy, burn. It's a burn. So whenever you're buying these, they're actually being burnt. They're not going to the castle. They're not going back into the ecosystem. So obviously this is one of those, another one of those DEC kind of mechanisms to pump it, right? Gathering goes on to say speed wins. This is true, yes. Eric M says, hey Eric, thanks for dropping by. So what does this mean for value retention on older card sets? The rewards in Wild are horrible compared to Modern. I earn more in Bronze and Modern than I do in Gold and Wild. Yeah, I agree. And as far as you know what? It's tough to say. They are making so many changes, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are kind of card collectors, and they've been buying a lot of cards to keep that. That's their way to invest in the game and look for future gains, right? There are a lot of people starting talking about this because the price fluctuation of the cards is up and down and all over the place. We've talked about this a number of times, how Gathering took a look at the staking of cards on land at the very beginning and found that betas offered a very good value, and then betas started getting bought up. Obviously alphas, there's a very lack of them on the market, so even if you wanted a max level alpha, and in most cases betas, you're not going to find enough cards to get a max level if you could afford to buy that. Right, so as far as the card retention prices, who knows? I've still been buying my alpha per week on most weeks, just to have a collection. As I've said previously, I've kind of stopped buying cards for investment purposes, if you see my air quotes, because I don't give out investment purposes to anybody. But whenever I saw the cards at an all-time low, I started buying some up, saying, hey, you know, if it goes up from 1 or 2 pennies to 5 pennies, that's easy to do, an easy win. But I haven't bought a whole lot of really expensive cards. I've switched my strategy to just buying cards for land. Although I do think, back to my previous point, is that I think at this point would be a good time to make your decisions where you want your deck to be, as far as especially summoners leading into the next era, right? So, okay. So, Gathering says JSIG jumped in price, was under $10, now about $15. Yeah, back to that main point. From what I'm seeing, all the cards are jumping. Obviously, there's going to be one-offs that maybe you might find a deal on, but we expected this, right? I mean, we were talking about this. Everybody who took a look at the numbers of cards that are going to be needed for land just expected this. And I was thinking about this the last night or two, because a lot of people have been talking about the burning of the Rift Watchers packs, which I voted against, okay? So I think, now follow me here, I think what's going to happen is we are going to get a situation. Well, right now we have a situation where there are just lower and lower and lower amounts of cards on the market. Okay. So you can take a look at some of these cards and you can see, like, you know, here's a common, it's got 2,000, or a common that's got 800, but these numbers are so very low compared to what they used to be, right? 600. You know, here's a comment, 600. I mean, it takes what? It takes 400 just to make max level. So that's just like not just a little bit over one max level card, right? So there's not a whole lot of cards on the market. So what I think is going to happen is a lot of these cards are going to be soaked up by land, which we kind of expected, and everybody's been talking about. But what that's going to lead into is, hey, where's the packs? How do we get more packs? And what's going to happen? People are going to start opening all those chaos packs that they have on the sideline. A lot of people hoarding thousands of packs of chaos, looking for that future sale. Well, they might come to the extrapolation that, hey, it might be better to go ahead and open those and dump them on the market now, because I'm going to make a lot more money off of selling them off the market than waiting for a pack to double in price, right? And back to my statement on Rift Watchers, I think that is going to lead, once most of these cards are soaked up off the market, that's going to lead to people start buying the Rift Watchers packs and opening them primarily, mostly to use on land, but also to dump on the market and make a little profit. So I voted against the Rift Watcher pack burning, although I kind of liked it at that situation for the Chaos Legion. I agreed at that point. I think that we could do a lot more with Rift Watchers, and I think that the market is going to change once Land 1.5 comes out, just because I've been following this all along. I mean, for at least for the last 2 months, as I got serious on staking on my land and getting ready. I've done several videos on the fact, and just from that small amount of time, the 2-month period, I've watched cards just continually go up and up and up. Let's take a look at Peak Monsters. Let's go over to buy, and I'm just going to look at specifically the cards I was buying. So I was mostly buying Water, Earth, Life, and Death. Gold foil, maximum. Okay, let's look at what a maximum level cheapest Murdham here going for. $17. Okay, 2 months ago, this guy was easily going for less than half of that. So you can see, you know, all the way back here, and he's still on a decline for today, but basically put 2 months ago when I started buying from these cheapest set of gold foil commons, they were going for $6 to $8, would get you a max level gold foil common. Now they're above $15, $15 to $20, okay? That's just taking those into consideration. So, and as you start looking at other cards, the same thing is going in effect in other cards. And obviously the higher level ones, the more rare ones, are going up faster. So sorry, I've been talking too much. Let me catch up with chat. The Chuny, welcome back. Thanks for dropping by. Says, it's funny to see how MavChat is reacting to all the bots now in Wild. A proposal comes out to get rid of bots in Wild next. Guess is what okay from bots were devaluing assets of the newer players. Well, it wouldn't surprise me, Chuny, but it would surprise me if it went through. And I've put my thoughts out there a number of times, but the team has been very straightforward in the fact that they always thought this game should maintain an openness so people could run bots. Obviously, we've got to the period where they have been banned in Modern. Who knows? It is clear, if you've watched the numbers, if you've listened to a number of people who are good at doing the numbers, talk about what they've done to the game. I don't know. I guess hindsight is 20/20, right? Can we try to correct it? Also, you know, what happens to the game if you just ban all bots? I mean, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of different things that could happen to the game, you know. So I guess it's one of those hard things, whether you which side of the fence you're on. I've said it a number of times. When I first came into the game, I thought it was weird that here's a game that full-on supported bots. But we've seen what happened with that. And I've been playing for more than 2 years now, and it's been a constant evolution for 2 years of continual process, them doing things to try and limit what bots could do within the infrastructure while still supporting them. It all just seemed very weird to me. But it wouldn't surprise me if somebody put out a request to get them out of Wild as well. That would be interesting. I mean, to have a game fully devoid of bots. Obviously, there's going to be one-offs, but from what I've seen, they've been doing their best to try to get those people out of the game, or those bots out of the game. Gathering says, another great reason to get tons of DEC for time crystals. Yes. If you watch my video on being prepared for land, one of them did include, one of them was based upon how much it would cost to feed your monsters to clear the land, and then the other one went in and started talking about just buying time crystals and doing it up front. So I did my numbers out. Obviously, about a week and a half ago, I moved on and got 4 more plots, so I had to go in, correct all my numbers. I had to change the cards that I was going to stake on each of my lands because it was just getting too expensive to buy these gold foil common max levels. So I went to a standpoint of using 3 max level gold foil commons per plot, plus 2 max level legendary regular foils. So I had to redo and resort and then figure out. And you know, at this point, to be honest, with 10 plots of land, I need above 700,000 DEC, which I have, but it's been painful because over the last several weeks, I've had to chunk down some money to get that DEC in place. But if you watch Bulldog's video the other day, I fully agree with him, and I try to stay away from doing videos about, hey, you should go out and buy DEC or stuff like that, because we all know what cryptocurrency does. But I agree with his reasoning that I think that DEC is just going to, I don't see any reason for DEC not to go to PEG, really, when land releases. We're going to get in a situation where DEC is going to get used up, and people are going to have to start burning SPS for more DEC to do their common land, different things for land, such as buying time crystals. So I wanted to be set when we're still around 80 cents on the dollar, 82 cents on the dollar. Haven't looked at it today. Splex. Let's do a reset. It's been hovering around 82 cents on the dollar. So we're right around 82 cents on the dollar right there, or 82 cents for 1,000 DEC. So, yeah, I mean, we're still in a situation. I hate to tell people, hey, go buy. I'm not that guy. But I've bought up most of what I need as far as DEC goes. And I do expect that once Land 1.5 goes live, you're going to see it go back to peg. And I'm not usually the bandwagon guy on that kind of thing, but I do expect it. So let's see here. Magic Gathering says gold common price is shooting up. Floor was about 36 cents a few days ago, now 42 cents. Commons will be 50 cents plus soon. Need to load up. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I've been buying them since you started talking about them, and we started doing the numbers. And I've started buying the gold foil common max levels, and they've went up from around $6 to $8 for a max level gold foil common to above $15. So big change. Gathering also says Rift Watchers reminds me of Antiquities, a small set that was overlooked with powerful cards. I definitely want to load up on packs. They will be 20 plus in a couple years if they burn them. Yeah. That's kind of a, I like that comparison. For those of you who have not played Magic the Gathering, Antiquities was a set that came out early revised era, I believe, maybe late unlimited era. And it was a small set, but they had a few select very powerful cards in it. And they didn't sell too many packs. And a pack now is a lot of money. So I agree also with your assumption that if they do start burning packs, obviously this will press the value of both singles and Riftwatcher packs as a whole up. But like I said, I'm against the burning overall. Not that I'm against buying packs and holding for future value, because I do that with Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, as well as I'm looking forward to the new Disney Lorcana coming out soon. But I think we're going to need more cards. That's point blank. As land releases, you're going to see a lot of these cards go off the market. You're going to see a lot of the cards dry up off the rental market as well. So, and I hate to make assumptions, but I think the rentals are going to go up as well. Due to the same reasoning. So where else you're going to get more cards? Open packs, right? Whether it is you opening the pack or whether you're buying off the singles market from somebody else to open the pack. So we're going to need a bunch of packs. Okay, so Gathering says, when people have to start burning SPS for DEC, watch people complain about having to burn SPS. The pain will start for people. Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Excuse me, I gotta take a drink. I've been talking a lot. Thanks, everybody, for dropping by. I appreciate it. If you have any thing you want to talk about, just drop it in chat. We'll bring it up, start talking about it. Yeah, I've been, like I said, the whole preparation for land has had me thinking, and I really don't like that that term SPS flywheel that they've been talking about. But as I was being forced to buy more and more DEC for land staking and for the crystals to use to get the land up and running, I just started just doing the numbers in my head, and I'm like, there is not going to, if people even staked out 40% of the land, I believe that the DEC is just going to be gone. But in hindsight, that's what they've ultimately been looking towards. And that's ultimately what that is going to kick off that SPS flywheel. I think it's proven by this point that the SPS staking requirements change. It helped some, and it did push the price of SPS started going up because people were buying some to stake. but I don't think it's going to kick off that, what they're calling the flywheel. Now, if land becomes ultimately very popular and we get, say 30-40% of the land being populated that is, or being staked out and everything, you're going to see DEC go up to stake, or go up to 1,000 DEC per dollar where they want it, right? And people are going to have to start burning SPS if you want DEC, because there's not too many ways to make DEC in the game. I mean, they were talking about the new DEC grain pool that will be available when 1.5 comes out. Haven't done a whole lot of looking into that. I'm kind of not really strong into getting into pools because there's various ways you can lose money doing that. But there are just very few ways to make DEC in the game other than burning SPS. So, and that's going to help towards that flywheel. So, okay, I'm trying to find where we left off. Remember to hit the like button. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Gathering. I do appreciate it. I appreciate everybody stopping by, liking, subscribing, watching my videos. I just noticed that I made 300 subscribers today, so congratulations to me. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Congratulations to you for finding a great channel. Just kidding. But yeah, thanks for everybody dropping by and leaving the likes and subscribes. I also like when people comment on the videos, because that leaves me things to talk about, and I try to answer everybody's comment on my video, because it leads to new things to, I think everybody looks at something differently. So you can look at something and study it and still miss something that somebody else picks up. And once in a while we get those out of the comments, and sometimes they end up being full-blown videos. Sometimes we just end up talking about them on here. So it all hopefully serves to make us a little bit wiser on the topic, right? So the Chuny says, even with the high costs, taxes on plots, you think enough plots will be used to cause a high demand in cards? Also, if DEC goes up as expected, plots will be even more cost prohibitive. That's a good 3 statements there. Okay, let's break it down. Okay, I will say, first of all, these plots of land have become very cost prohibitive. Just if you've watched my videos, you can see how much money I've been pumping into just 10 plots of land. Now think of those people that have 100 or more, or 1,000. I think you're seeing that people bought into the ecosystem, very hip on land, large portions of land, and then as the development has gone along and they've put more and more, they've really put saving SPS and saving DEC onto the back of land, because they put so many costs into having land. And I've said it a number of times, I just hope they don't put too many more cost barriers on the land, because I think that, to Chuny's point, that they're going to price people out of that game and people are just going to start selling off. Like I've said, if they do too much more, I'm just going to have to sell a few plots more, few of my plots of land, because I just won't be able to afford to play it. And then you'll lead to a situation where even the big guys, even Gank, who had 1,000 plots, is selling off. I mean, he's down in the 900s somewhere. I don't know exactly what he's doing with that. I can assume that he's going to use some of that money that he's selling his plots off for the other plots, obviously to stake out, buy cards and stuff like that. But we're seeing a lot of other people that bought large portions of land that are selling off like their commons, their lower end ones, just so they can use that money most likely to to stake out and things of this nature. So back to Chuny's point, I don't think it will take too much of the land action to affect the DEC and go in the right direction for that to affect the so-called SPS flywheel, right? Like I said, it will only take, 30 to 40% of staked out land to affect that from the numbers I'm seeing. So who knows? I can agree with the overall sentiment. The higher price you put on the items or to get into that game, you're just getting rid of a lot of customers, right? So and the same can be said for cards they release. Look at the price on the last card they released. They automatically limited out the amount of people that would buy that card by that price level, right? So I'm not surprised by anything they do. I just hope that the price on working land does not go too much higher. Otherwise, I might have to sell a couple off. So I generally agree with you, Chuni, but I'm crossing my fingers and I'm kind of hoping for the best, which is against my overall usual attitude. So we'll leave it there. Gathering says DEC will be gone within a couple weeks of Land 1.5 release, I think. This will send a shockwave throughout the community. Curious to see what everyone's reaction will be when DEC hits peg suddenly. Yeah, back to my point, what we've been talking about for a little while here. It's not going to take much, because as soon as 1.5 drops and people start staking out land, especially if you haven't prepared and bought some DEC up, you're going to be buying DEC at peg, or you're going to be burning SPS. You're going to have to buy SPS and burn it to get your DEC. And you're going to be paying peg, basically. Or you're going to be paying whatever SPS is worth and then getting DEC at peg. So, yeah, I think that people are going to be surprised at a few different things. That's why I've been putting out videos on the different food and the crystals and everything like that. Because is it in the white paper? Yes. But I don't think that people had land. A lot of people that had land actually sat down and did the numbers and see how fast the numbers add up, in other words. So Gathering says, get DEC from swapping Forge. Play Splinterforge. Hint, hint. Yes, I have been playing Splinterforge. I have not been really swapping it for SPS. However, I have been strengthening my... Let's see what I did this week. I bought a gem this week. Just kind of a side tangent. You know what I bought? I bought the Faded Critical Rune, Critical Strike Rune, and it has been helping me on gem. So just kind of on a side tangent. But yes, one of the options you can do is you can play Splinterforge. There's a number of games, and you can see in my tabs, you can play Splinterforge, you can play Golem Overlord, you can play Terracore. Also on the agenda is the newer game that's in alpha, Immortal Creed. All these interface with Hive Engine, and you can take the credits that you earn in the individual games and trade them over into SPS. So all possibilities. Let's see here. Gathering says, congrats on 300. And Whipple says, congrats on 300. Thanks, guys. I couldn't do it without you. Thankful for everybody who stops by. I haven't been forcing out. I try not to force out a lot of content unless I have really something to talk about. And it's, it is what it is. I like to talk about things that I find interesting, and not just sit here and talk for the sake of talking, right? So that's why I like these live events, because everybody can chip in their 50 cents and we can talk about it. So I would like to find, obviously I would like to get a bigger audience, just from the fact that, the more opinions, the better the conversation, I think. So Gathering says, and thanks, Gathering, for saying great content, and thanks, Supreme, for saying this is a great channel. I do appreciate it. Gathering goes on to say, thinking of getting more land plots, and even if I can't afford to work them now, we'll just hold on to them to see how they appreciate long term. $300 plus commons in 2 years. You heard it here first. You know, I've thought about that too, because let's look at the land market right now. Let's do a refresh here. So we can see that land it's been hovering in the $40 to $37-ish dollars for a common. And even $40 you can find building in the box over on Cush Higgs. Cush Higgs, I don't know how you pronounce that, but over in his region, his or hers region, you can get a common building in the box land for $40. So it's a good point. I guess my main statement on that would be that I didn't back my brain. What happens if these get down to like $25? I'm going to be so tempted to just like buy a bunch of them up, you know. And into your statement, even if I just don't stake them, even if I just leave them there for a while, or minimally stake them, you know, maybe stake, you know, commons on them or something like that. Just get them up and running, or maybe just leave them for whenever the land surfing thing goes into effect, and let other people farm them. You know, I don't know. It's a good statement. It's going to be very, very tempting. Gathering goes on to say, wonder if the team knows you don't have to burn DEC for SPS. You can swap any token for it on Hive. If word on that gets out, it may put an end to their flywheel hopes. Well, that's a good point. I would have to think about that. Yes, I don't know if I don't know which makes more money sense, whether just burning for it or going ahead and trading for it on Hive Engine, whether the fees and what you would get out of it. I would have to look at it and see which would be a better way. I would think they would both affect the values. Maybe they might affect the value in a different way. And maybe it might, either way you do it, it might help the flywheel out. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. So we'll see what happens, but I just wanted to be prepared. That's why I've talked about it so much. I've kind of grown, I guess back to Chuni's point, I've kind of grown a little bit, kind of, I don't want to say angry, but frustrated that it costs so much just to play a plot of land, right? So, so I hope going forward in 2.0, there's not too many more price barriers, so to speak. Okay, let me see here. Supreme Victory Network says, I stake all my forge to gain experience in the game. Very valid. We've talked about that. Well, you know what? Gathering has talked about this a lot because he does a lot more Splinterforge content than I do. I play it, but I have to, you know, I only have so much time, and I got to pick where I spend my time on making content. I still like the game. I like the way it's headed. I'm at a standpoint where I haven't increased the power of my characters a whole lot. I bought a few of the new the gems. I did also buy this week. I also took my bow. No. I took one piece of equipment up to the second level. I think it was on my Ranger, sorry. One of my pieces of equipment I did increase to level 2 this week, as well as buy the gem. But I do play. I just don't do a whole lot of content on it. But very valid. Make your forge, convert it into SPS, and stake it. And that same point can go for any of these games on the Hive blockchain, right? Play the game. However, a lot of the games end up being like, well, you have to sink a decent amount of money in to be able to make a decent amount, and so you have to make that decision whether you want to go ahead and do that or not. So let's see here. Gathering says, loading up on XP as well in Splinterforge. Yeah, my XP has been building up. Let's see where I'm at on my main account, which I still maintain that this is a weird place to put your XP. So I have 97,000 XP on my main account. I think that the XP line should be right here on the character line, somewhere in here, right? So either way, yeah, I'm just, I did stake some, and I'm allowing it to build up slowly. So let's go back to here. Okay, so Gathering says, will we continue to earn SPS for holding land? No, you will not, unless you stake your land and choose to mine SPS on it. After 1.5 goes live, you will have to specifically choose what your land does, and you will not earn SPS just for the sake of having land. Like I said, like they've talked about, you will have the choice of doing one of three things on that land. You can mine SPS, you can grow grain, or you can do the research. And the pool, this huge pool that's being distributed to everybody that owns land now, will go to a, excuse me, had to burp. Shouldn't be drinking carbonated drinks on the mic. Lesson learned. So this huge pool of SPS that is being distributed to all landholders now will go to a much smaller subset of people who are going to choose to mine SPS on their land. And as we've talked about it, it will be much smaller because you can't just, it's really it's a numbers game. Okay, I'll tell you it this way. So if you want to take all your land and just mine SPS on it, that's fine. But you're going to have to turn around and every day buy grain off of the market, off the game, which is 1 grain per DEC, or when the grain market gets up and going, you're going to have to buy off the market, which should be cheaper than that. But you still have to factor in a price. Okay, I want to make this much SPS per day, but that is mitigated by how much I have to spend in DEC to buy grain. Or like my kind of strategy is go like half and half, where I have some, well, not half and half. I have half my lands producing grain, and the other half will either be mining SPS or doing research, depending upon what the lands are. So for instance, my magic lands will be doing research, obviously, because they get the 100% bonus on it. Okay, so let's take a look at, if you had occupied lands, then you would get 100% bonus to SPS mining. So it makes much more sense, if you're going to invest in occupied land, to use that specifically for staking out and mining SPS. So in a long roundabout way, no, you will no longer be getting SPS just for having land. You're going to have to mine SPS on it. Okay, the Chuny says, unless you buy an occupied plot, I'm thinking with all the costs to convert grain into SPS will be too expensive. May best to be just sell grain. What do you think? I've thought about this a number of times, repeatedly as we've went along and talked about it. I think at the very beginning, grain probably will make more profit overall, okay, until we start getting a saturation, to a certain saturation point in the market where a lot of people are growing grain and dumping on it. So for instance, you know, when we first start out, it's going to be 1 DEC per grain. As people start throwing on the market, obviously they're going to be pricing down to compete, right? So we may get a point to very quickly where it's only half a DEC per grain. And then you have to look at how much you would make. It's just a numbers game. You have to look at how much SPS you would make versus how much you're going to have to pay for grain on the market, which is also always fluctuating unless you do a bulk buy. And as we know, if you do a bulk buy, then you affect the price overall of the token, right? Just like any other token. And it's going to be this ongoing thing, right? Whereas I'm trying to set my land up to where I don't really have to worry about the grain market. right up front, I may stand to make a little bit of money by putting my excess grain produced on the market to sell. But overall, I want to kind of be averaged out to where I'm making enough grain to feed all my land plots, even if while some of them are doing research and mining SPS. Now, is that the best way to do it? Who knows until we start, right? I'm sure when we start, people are going to say, I'm sure SPS mining is going to be very popular, and people may jump on it at the beginning until they see how much they're going to have to spend on food. My goal has always been to try and mitigate that daily charge as much as possible so I don't have to keep throwing money back into the game if I can have everything kind of average out, right? Will that be the way to make the most research or make the most SPS? No, probably not. But it'll be a way for me to average out my plots and not have to worry about, hey, do I have enough grain to do a claim today or something like that. So, okay. The Chuny says, what is your overall opinion on Golem Overlord at the moment? Still playing, selling any part, why not? Okay, actually, yes. Good question. I am still playing. I was just this morning doing a little bit. I had I'm up to 100 scavenger golems now. I've been making a concerted effort to keep my reputation up, to get my levels up, as far as I'm on Prestige 2. So on a continual basis, every time I harvest or every time I claim, I'm building back up, and I'm trying to make one extra scavenger golem per harvest and just keep increasing like that, right? I'm also trying to increase in prestige up, which helps everything else out. I've also, as usual, been making a concerted effort. I just went up to 24 in fortification, so I'm keeping up the defensive. I don't do a whole lot of attacks, so I think the game is coming along. He's been putting some concerted effort into making the backgrounds. I like the backgrounds. I don't like them such that I would throw much money into them. They're great. They do increase your odds of getting more of the shards, but it's not something I'm going to sink a bunch of money into. He's also recently just put out some words on some information on potions. So I have looked at his basic explanation, but I don't have anything to put out on that. I think he's continuing to go. I think this game will continue to grow where he's headed with it. But I haven't put a bunch of money into it except for at the very beginning, and I don't really filter any out now. Once in a while, I'll take some out if I have some extra and I need like some SPS or some DEC or something like that. I took a little bit out the other day because I was buying that gem in Splinterforge, so I converted it over into Forge and bought mine. I like the whole aspect of playing multiple games, and then if you need a little over here, you can draw from here, and vice versa, go back and forth. And obviously, any of these games, you can go ahead and say, well, I want to feed it into Splinterlands and increase my SPS or my DEC, right? So I like the options. It's nice to have options. So International Travel Channel, Guten Tag. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. We're talking mostly Splinterlands, but we got off on a Golem Overlord tangent there. Also, if anybody's interested, this Immortal Creed, I stopped here. I have been playing in the alpha because I do have enough to buy a card pack in the alpha. When you play, you amass what's called glory for each win, and then you can use that to buy card packs. So I figured I would go ahead and buy a card pack live on here. Currently they're in alpha. Anybody can drop in and play alpha. I think it's going for another 2 days, but figured I'd go ahead and buy a card pack just to show you what it looks like. So let's go ahead and buy a card pack and then open it up. So, like most other games, you buy a card pack with money or with the credits you make in the game. So let's open this card pack, and you can see now in this game, blue is common, so these two are common, and then greens are rares. So not bad, nothing awesome, but figured I'd just open the card pack. Now this game really is a one-on-one match game where you pick between 1 and 5 cards, and the other player does. And you pick melee, you pick range, or you pick magic, and your different equipment that you want to use. And this goes along. I've been playing it in alpha. It's kind of like a lot of other games. Basically, it comes down to the person that spent the most money on packs and combined to have highest equipment. There's a lot of RNG to it, but there's that. So it's going along. It's an alpha if anybody wants to stop by and take a look at it. It's also on the same Hive Engine blockchain. So Supreme Victory Network says, yeah, making around 400 experience a day is fantastic. Oh yeah, for the staking within Splinterforge, agreed. If you're playing Splinterforge and you don't know what we're talking about, currently in game you can stake Forgium, and you can make experience, which will be used in the future to increase the levels, different levels on your character to help out, make them stronger, in other words. So Gathering Magic says, think not many people are going to do research, so that is why I am going to do my 2 magical plots. Well, I've said this before. It's like a shot in the dark, right? It's one of those things that's going to be so far out until Land 2.0. It's taken Land 1.5 so long to get here that I can't even start thinking about when Land 2.0 is going to be here. But they've released a number of things around the research, and since I have 2 magical lands, I figured, why not? Why not just do it? Start building up the points. They've got some titles you can earn. Also, I'm trying to find. Okay, here we go. Research. So a lot of this stuff is, we're going to set it up and support it and get these research points for whatever they're good for. But I think that it will be way out in front of us when any of that's going to be helpful. But we'll see. And like I said, you can get titles. So we'll see. I was just going to do it because, the Magic Lands get 100% bonus on it. So. Supreme says, I made it to gold in Immortal Creed, and we got a bunch of free packs. Plus, I made some videos on it, and they gave me some extra packs as well. Nice. Yeah. If you are a creator, content maker, and you make videos and you post it to their Discord channel, they will slip you a couple packs for doing a video. And if during the alpha you make it into bronze, they will give you 1 free pack. If you get it into silver, they'll give you 2 free packs. And if you get it into gold, they'll give you 3 free packs. And good on you, Supreme. If you made it in gold, man, I'm doing good to keep getting knocked out of bronze. I make it into bronze, then I get knocked out of bronze, and so forth. I'm hoping that they do some more changes to the game to put a little bit more into it other than, be the first guy to buy 3 million packs and have the best equipment, and then you always win, that kind of thing. I hope there's more. I mean, there is some strategy to it, and I like where it's going. I think there's more to be done, and obviously it's an alpha, so there's a lot to be done. I like the fact that they put it out there for people to test and comment on, and I think they're going in the right direction. I just hope it doesn't come down to, hey, you have to buy 1,000 packs and then you can win every match or something like that, because games like that just devolve really quickly into like 5 people that basically always win. So we'll see though. Gathering says, might actually start funneling some tokens into part and build up my account. Golem Overlord is fun, and part is super cheap now to build up your account. Yeah, I was talking about this with somebody the other day, that right now it's cheaper to get in than, very much cheaper to get in and start playing than what it was at the beginning. It was very expensive at the beginning to get in and play. So we're in a good situation now, I think, if you want to get in and start playing. Not that this is financial advice. This is more, like I always say, gaming advice. It's cheaper now to get set up with a standard level of sets and standard level of what do I want to say? Stats, not sets. And get up and running. Now, something I was talking to my brother about, he does a lot more attacking than I do. I stopped attacking early on when I was taking so much losses, but he did say that they've limited that down now. So the losses you take if you attack and lose are much less. So, but I'm still playing it from a very much defensive standpoint. Whereas in Terracore, I'm playing it, I do attack a lot more, because one of the big differences was you don't stand to lose any in Terracore with if your attack fails. So, okay, and since we're just going over the half hour, Gathering gets the last word. Splinterforge team contacted me on Discord and said if I live stream, they might give me some crates bags for a giveaway. I don't stream, but thought you might be able to do that. Interesting. I might talk to him. I don't have anything against the live stream. I like live streaming, you know. I don't do it primarily to... I like to live stream stuff I'm having fun with. I don't do it. I'm not one of those guys that say, hey, I'll live stream just to get free stuff, right? But I do like Splinterforge. I think it's come a long way, and I think it's got a good... It's headed in the right direction, so... With that said, we'll wrap it up, but I wanted to take a minute and thank everybody for liking and subscribing, stopping by on Saturday. I do appreciate it. Please leave comments in my various videos if you have ideas on what I'm talking about, and because I use those, and you know, the more sides of a story we visit, the more educated we can be on the topic we're talking about, right? So. And Gathering says, contact them on Discord. Would be fun to see you do a Splinterforge. I might do that. Thanks for bringing it up. With that said, this has been Bronze Dragon. I do appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.